Here's an idea. You can love something without being a fan of it. In late 2015, I was at a convention and I saw this great Steven Universe cosplay. And after complimenting them, I asked, "Hey, I've always heard that show is something good. Is that something I should get into?" I've always watched Adventure Time and the like, and I had, like, Adventure Time, Looney Tunes, all that jazz. To which they enthusiastically replied, "Yes, you should totally get into that." So I sat down and I watched it. And I didn't just watch it, I binged it and continued to watch it. And then I got to the end and I realized, man, this is a really good show. I don't think I'm a fan of it, which was new for me. If you like something, then you're clearly a fan of it, right? Not necessarily. See, a fan, for me at least, is somebody who actively participates in the fandom. They advocate for the thing that they like, they proclaim it and eat it up, whatever that thing produces. Alright, so some context here. Also, spoilers ahead. Steven Universe takes place in the fictional town of Beach City. The titular character, Steven, lives with his three moms, Garnet, Amethyst, and Pearl, who are aliens known as Gems, who form the team called the Crystal Gems. The show also features characters like Steven's dad, Greg, who lives in a van by the car wash he operates. It should be noted, by the way, that Steven's dad doesn't live with him, but is still an amazing father figure, and a really positive male role model in the show. They go on adventures, and Steven grows, and it's a fun old time. But that's not everything that's going on. So okay, some pros and cons here. Pro. That show is incredibly beautiful. The art style and watercolored backgrounds are perfectly suited for the beach aesthetic of Beach City. The action scenes are tight, and with some early face animations, the show is really good to look at. So another pro. Everyone, with the exception of Steven, is incredibly well written. They all have amazing backstories and nuanced relationships with each other. They aren't perfect and also act in very realistic ways. Some of them deal with actual extreme trauma in not only realistic but healthy ways. That is great to see in not just a kid's show, but any show. Steve's dad, Greg, is a really great positive male role model that not only loves Steven and isn't afraid to show those emotions, but is there for him in the best capacity that he can be. Also, he's a great adult to other kids on the show, like Connie and Onion. The last pro that I'll mention, and mind you, there are a lot of pros with this show. I'm just going over the ones that I thought to mention. The music is really catchy and very well done. When the album came out on Spotify, I listened to it non-stop and still do. The songs go from Broadway musical to R&B to punk to hair metal. It's great and really fits with the show's characters. Okay, on to the cons, and stay with me here. As I mentioned earlier, everyone in the show, with the exception of Steven, is incredibly well written. You have Pearl, who's this battle-hardened war criminal, but now is kind of a helicopter mom, and you get to enjoy and experience that over time. That character is earned. You have Amethyst, who, while she comes off as the younger brother to Steven, she has a lot of body issues and feelings of being broken that come out throughout the show, which is really great to see. And every character in this town has these great, believable relationships with each other, and it's awesome. Then you have Steven. He's just a wholesome kid who just wants to do right by everyone, and yeah, woo. Mind you, he does get some character depth and growth throughout the show, and him as a subject is interesting, but who he is isn't. The other thing that I want to mention about Steven to make him more redeemable is that he subverts Boyhood in some really great ways. Somebody did a really great video essay on that, and I'll link it in the doobly-doo. That's not to say Steven doesn't have scars from his adventures. He really does. But for the most part, he's still just this wholesome kid who doesn't have a lot of agency in what is happening around him, only who his mom is. Overall, Steven's a great character, but he pales in comparison to everyone else in that show. My last con is This show's gay. I mean, really gay. Now, mind you, I don't mean that in the derogatory sense. I mean, this show is capital L lesbian gay. Which at first, I was taken aback by. There just isn't a lot of lesbian media in popular culture, period. Okay, so what do I mean, and why do I say that? Well, because of fusion. Not that kind, this kind. In the universe of Steven Universe, the gems, including Steven, who is half gem, they dance towards each other, which forms a new, bigger, and more powerful version of themselves that A is a new and unique person, and B is an amalgamation of each other. So, which translates to, and this is in the canon of the show, is that a fusion is the embodiment of a relationship between two people. Now, since we have female gendered gems, what they're saying is that a fusion is the embodiment of a relationship. Which makes sense. When you're in a relationship, you guys do form a new person, and when you break up, that is the death of that person. And it's not just that. There are abusive relationships in this show. There are long-term relationships in the show. There are destructive relationships in the show. And that is actually really amazing. I mean, think about it. What show out there has any kind of lesbian relationship that isn't immediately sexualized or abusive in some way? There are surprisingly few, which is a shame because there's a lot to do in that space. And here you have it, from a kids show, of all things. That is awesome! Okay, now that we have that out of the way, let's get to fandom. To me, being a fan of something is to be in the fandom of that thing, which is to say, you are participating in the fandom. That can include, but is not limited to, shipping, writing fanfics, cosplaying, and this is the important one, participating in the community of that media. Some notable ones are Harry Potter, Ruby, World of Warcraft, and for our purposes, Steven Universe. Steven Universe's fandom is broad and diverse, not only in terms of ethnicity, but also sexual orientation and age ranges. But if we're gonna go off of my experience with Steven Universe, I didn't feel like a fan. And I'm not discouraging you. I highly suggest you go out there and see it for yourself, and you might even like it. So, here we are. Or at least there I was, kind of stuck. But what do you guys think? Can you like something without being a fan of it? Hey guys, thank you so much for joining me on the first episode of Here's an Idea. I know it was a little rough with the editing, I'm still learning a lot, but I appreciate you sticking around. If you like this video, definitely give it a like, subscribe, share, send Morse code, smoke signals, however you want to do it. But I'm hoping to do more of these in the future, and hopefully I'll catch you later. 15, I was at a convention, and I saw this great Steven Universe cosplay. Really good one. And after complimenting them, I asked, should I